Person in Windsor, Essex has died. Now 95 deaths since this started. She was in her 60s with underlying health conditions. Even more staggering is this number here. More than 1,000 active cases in Windsor, Essex right now. The rate is one of the highest in the province. The health unit says new cases coming from everywhere in the community. As our cases continue to climb, initial doses of the COVID-19 vaccine are set to be in Windsor, Essex next week. Windsor Regional Hospital is one of more than a dozen facilities in the province that will receive a limited amount of the vaccine. With more, I'm joined live by CBC's Sanjay Maru. Sanjay, who's going to get those first shots?
Well, Chris, the wait will soon be over, at least for those who are eligible to get the vaccine in this first go. I had a chance to speak with an employee at a retirement home here in Windsor, and he says this year has been an absolute whirlwind. Now, as an employee at a retirement home, he's among the highest priority group to get their hands on this vaccine. And again, an absolute whirlwind of a year, going right from home to work to avoid any potential transmission, not going anywhere else. And he says that, you know, he's been also canceling get-togethers just to do his part to keep himself and his friends and family safe. But ultimately, when he sees news of this vaccine, he sees a light at the end of this tunnel.
I'm ecstatic. I can't wait for this to happen. This is going to help me protect my family, the people I work with, and the residents here. It feels great. It feels like this has been a long time coming. 2020 has been a very long year, and I'm looking forward to what's to come, and I feel very positive about it.
Now, these doses won't be going to the general public just yet. There are 4 priority groups that will receive the vaccine first. Let's break those down. Plans are for staff and residents in long-term care and retirement homes to receive the initial doses, then healthcare workers, including other staff who work and study in hospitals, adults in Indigenous communities, and adult recipients of chronic home health care. Now, officials say there's no word on exactly how many of the doses of this vaccine will be coming to this region in this first go, or exactly where the vaccination site will be set up. But as you can imagine, this is welcome news for those who are eligible to get their hands on this vaccine.
Again, coming on a record-breaking day case-wise, but there's also people at long-term care and retirement homes that are going to have to wait for a shot. What can you tell us about that?
Well, Chris, Windsor Regional Hospital said today that the vaccines will be given to those retirement and long-term care homes that are not in outbreak. I want to make that very clear, not in outbreak, and that's because at the moment there are currently 10 long-term care and retirement homes that are currently experiencing an outbreak. And in terms of why that is, why that specification, I put that forward to the province. Here's what a spokesperson told me today. He says public health measures recommend to self-isolate. Therefore, healthcare workers in a home with outbreak would not be able to be vaccinated immediately. Now, again, this also applies to the general public, not part of this first go of who can be vaccinated here. And this morning, health officials informed the public that there is still a cause for concern and that people need to do a better job of following public health guidelines, because until everyone is vaccinated, we are not out of the woods just yet.
We are calling it a lockdown, but it's not truly a lockdown. In the first wave, when we went into the lockdown, practically everything was closed. There was literally very few people out on the roads, and that led to us flattening the curve. With this current restrictions, there are still many people that are out. At this time, I would like to say everyone, probably you're not doing what you should be doing, and that's why we are continuing to see cases.
And Ahmed says he's gone back to the province to call for more measures, stricter guidelines on top of what's already in place due to this lockdown. But Ahmed would not tell me today what those recommendations are. Chris.
Thanks, Sanjay. The CBC Sanjay Maru live tonight. Today, the province decided to keep Chatham-Kent and Lambton in the yellow restriction zones. The lockdowns in Peel and Toronto are going to be extended, and Hamilton will enter lockdown as well. Premier Doug Ford didn't have a press conference today. Instead, he gave a short message about the continued rise in cases.
I've asked for an emergency meeting with all CEOs of all hospitals in Ontario. I want to listen to what's happening on the ground, within the hospitals, within ICU units. We're going to have a emergency meeting over the weekend, and we'll make a decision on Monday. We'll be announcing Monday at 1 o'clock moving forward.
Now, Hotel de Grace Healthcare CEO Janice Caffer on that call. She says that she reiterated hospital systems and workers are exhausted, adding that there's concern about ongoing spread.
It was very clear that the Premier was quite serious in his desire to engage with the system. It was very clear to me, as someone who's not a politician, that he was listening, that he was hearing what we had to say. And I believe that he and his minister and his cabinet will take our advice under advisement. The Hospital Association, Ontario Hospital Association, has put out a very clear and compelling statement of the situation we face in our province. And I do believe that that statement, along with today's call, is a compelling argument to lock down the province. And it is my personal hope that that happens sooner than later.
Sources tell CBC News that the government is considering a more restrictive lockdown that would take effect Boxing Day until January 11th. It would be for Southern Ontario. They couldn't say exactly which regions would be included. Through Northern Ontario, that would be excluded. Sources compared the possible measures to what Quebec's doing, closing all non-essential businesses, issuing a mandatory work-from-home order for most office employees, and moving schools online until January 11th. The Village at St. Clair outbreak is now at 107 cases. There are 62 residents who have tested positive, 45 staff members. The NDP wants Ontario to take over the management of the outbreak and give it to someone else. A move the province made at a home in Cambridge with fewer cases connected to that outbreak. I spoke with NDP MPP Lisa Gretzky about the Village at St. Clair earlier today. When you talk to residents who have family members inside of there, what stands out for you this week?
The fear and the desperation. So my office has been flooded with calls and emails, and I've talked to some people myself, returning calls. And it's the same with the staff. It is fear and it is desperation. They really need some support. They really need some extra help in there, and especially since they are really short-staffed right now. And they're echoing the call that I've officially made, which is for the province to intervene, for them to step in and take over management or assign management of the home and ensure that all of the resources that they need are in place to stop the spread and any further deaths, because unfortunately there have been 3 residents who have died, and those are 3 families that are grieving that loss. And it's really difficult when there's not a lot of communication coming out of the home between residents and the family members. It's just incredibly difficult for everyone that's involved.
The developers of Canada's COVID Alert app say that they've released a fix for a bug on Android devices. The bug prevented the app from checking for exposures to coronavirus. The fix, now available in the latest version, the developers say it's important to set the COVID Alert app to auto-update, so fixes like this and new versions are installed. Many parts of Ontario are dealing with outbreaks at long-term care homes. New analysis for the CBC Marketplace team shows that the consequences are particularly dire when it comes to private chains. Provincial data reveals that most for-profit homes had higher rates of COVID-19 deaths than non-profit or municipal homes. David Common has more.
COVID is surging again in Ontario care homes, and once inside, it has killed an average of 3.7 people per 100 residents in the mix of homes. But zoom in on just the for-profits, that rate jumps to 5.2, and some chains fared far worse. Rika at 8.6 deaths, Southbridge at 9. Lisa Levin represents the better-off not-for-profit sector, which has quietly touted its differences for years.
Things like lower mortality rates, less falls, less use of antipsychotic medication.
For-profit Southbridge did not respond to requests for comment on the weeks-long statistician-reviewed CBC analysis. Rika, which owns this home, did, calling it flawed and not an accurate reflection, and blamed outbreaks early in the pandemic before COVID was better understood. Like many of the for-profit chains, it also pointed to community spread and a greater prevalence of older building design, where residents are packed closer together as the main factors. Indeed, 22 years ago, the government banned construction of 3- and 4-person rooms, in part for infection control, but grandfathered in the hundreds already built, mostly, as this elder care expert says, in for-profit homes.
You could rightly ask, well, why don't you put some of your profits into renovating your facilities? So I think that it hasn't been a priority for those homes.
Many homes have asked the province for more money to upgrade, while some nonprofits have fundraised or set aside cash each year.
It goes into taking care of the seniors, and it doesn't go to shareholders or profits.
And that report there from David Common in Toronto. You can read the full marketplace analysis of Ontario long-term care home deaths on our website, cbcnews.ca. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau today tried to reassure Canadians who received CERB payments in the spring and have recently been asked to pay back thousands of dollars. But as Hannah Thibodeau reports, there's still a lot of concern among those people.
It's been a difficult year. There's no other way to put it.
That could be an understatement by the Prime Minister, as thousands of Canadians received a letter from the Canadian Revenue Agency saying they may have to pay back emergency COVID-19 relief benefits before the end of the year. The PM tried to reassure them.
We didn't deliver support to millions of Canadians who needed it just to claw it back at Christmas.
But he wasn't so clear about what happens after Christmas for people like PEI cake maker Christine McDonald.
They are now expecting me to pay back $18,500.
The issue for McDonald and others is how they calculated their income when they applied for the benefit, using their gross total. The CRA says qualification is based on net, but many Canadians say that stipulation was nowhere to be found when applications were accepted back in March.
I faithfully did everything that I was supposed to do under the emergency situation. And, I did nothing wrong.
We're already broke.
This BC musician had all of his concerts canceled, had no income coming in, but he also got a letter because in his application, he didn't include rental income he receives. And he says he didn't know he had to.
The province has just asked us to buckle down again and stay home. We've missed the whole holiday season. As musicians, this was another of our busy times. And my son came down from upstairs and offered to sell toys to help. Like, you shouldn't have to do that.
The PM says good faith mistakes won't be punished or pursued. However, when he was asked if the government would waive repayments altogether for those who made honest mistakes, he would only say that they'll work with individuals on a case-by-case basis. Hannah Thibodeau, CBC News, Ottawa.
Now, many people filled out their CERB applications based on information provided by Revenue Canada call center agents, and some of the instructions may have been wrong. Late today, the union representing those agents told the CBC that they were given incorrect information about eligibility requirements. Unifor and the provincial government got together today to officially open an adjustment center to help laid-off members of Local 444.
I want every worker to know and their family that our government stands firmly with you and with this community. We recognize the hardship that you face. We know the dignity that comes with having a job that you are proud of. And we're committed to doing whatever it takes to help you get back on your feet.
McNaughton saying that the government funding will be kicking in more than $210,000. The adjustment center is in the basement of the Union Hall, meant to help 800 workers from the FCA plant and 7 feeder plants. They'll get resume assistance, help finding new work, training, can even receive food if needed. It will cost $440,000 to operate. FCA is matching the funding along with some of the feeder plants.
I want to thank the provincial government for, putting that money through. I want to thank FCA for negotiating those monies with me. It's a good evil. It's really, it's a good story that we can have this action center for our laid off people. But unfortunately, we've lost a third shift, and this will be a stopgap in between until we get that third shift back.
During the lockdown, appointments will be handled virtually or over the phone. So far, 40 people have sought help. The annual McHale Brothers Turkey Dinner Giveaway started today, but because of the pandemic, they did things a little differently.
So we had originally planned to do a delivery option and have a drive-up function, but because of the increase in COVID numbers in the area, we were a bit concerned in having people come out, as well as for the safety of our volunteers. So we've just moved everything online into a delivery service as of Saturday, I think.
Now that service will mean volunteers delivering turkeys with all the trimmings to homes of people who have signed up for help. The McHales are giving food to 500 families, and they'll continue those drop-offs tomorrow. A locally made movie comes out next week called Boys and Girls. Written and directed by a Windsor man, shot right here in Windsor, Essex. Best part could be the cast, including Canadian actor and comedian Colin Mockery.
In Windsor, it's open arms. Like, of course you can use our coffee shop. We'll shut down, and you know what? We'll make you some pies for that day and that kind of stuff. So world of a difference when your dollar goes a lot further here, and the enthusiasm you get from the local people is fantastic.
Everyone was wonderful. I was put up in a lovely boutique hotel, and as I said, the cast and crew were wonderful. It was really, I don't want to sound condescending, but it was just professionally run, and everybody was considerate, and it was a very creative atmosphere. It was perfect.
We would like to be another film that kind of shows you that camp experience, because for those of us who went to camp, just getting to revisit that, especially in 2020 when you're backing out in your kind of real world thing, just that 2 hours of escapism. So hopefully we did something that can kind of at least make you think of those days.
I love this movie because, well, just the experience of making it. It's funny, it's fun, it's a throwback to the camp movies of the 80s that and I think it speaks to anyone who's ever had a camp experience and that sort of fun. So I highly recommend it to anyone.
Another quick look outside here as we see the city with all of the lights that have been set up, the Bright Lights Festival moving around. Weather will come up next, but first we want to show you a video posted to a local teacher's YouTube page. Teachers singing a classic song with a bit of a twist. Now they issued this disclaimer off the top saying to remember they're teachers, not singers.
5 bars of Wi-Fi and kids and teens meeting, sharing my screen and together mode seating, apps for manipulatives and for lessons. These are a few of my favorite things.
Joining us now with the weather is Colette Kennedy. Colette, those soft snowflakes falling on the night sky. No more of that this weekend, eh?
Yeah, you know what? We're going to see, we go from one extreme to the other because we're going to be seeing our temperatures pushing above seasonal. So here we go with it's a pretty gentle roller coaster, but we are taking it up again. And you're going to see that when I get to the 5-day here in just a moment. It cools down by the time we get to Christmas for those kind of hoping we have a chance of a white one. And it is going to be some colder air, but we'll see if we get the snow in there. Temperatures then turning around. Mixed precipitation Saturday. There's not a lot of it. And so, yeah, you might still see a few wet flurries. That potential is there, but in many cases, it's going to be more like a drizzle and turning over to some showers. Lots of clouds into Sunday. Whatever we see is likely a mix of showers more than anything. It's nice that the accumulations or what we have in terms of the moisture that's coming just isn't much there. Temperatures from earlier today, and we've been seeing these nearly steady, frankly. Couldn't do much better than right about freezing. And as well, that stubborn cloud deck, which I was hoping we could kind of break through, but it was really stubborn. And really, as we go into the evening hours, we'll get some breaks. But it's short-lived because the next system is then riding in here overnight tonight into tomorrow. So this is 7 a.m. Clouds come back again. And then as we go into the afternoon, a better chance that we get that mix passing through. But did you see how quickly it goes? There just isn't going to be anything much more than, I think I said this yesterday, kind of a nuisance that we're going to have because of some wet roadways. Could be a little bit slick. And into Sunday, a lot of that cloud cover, and often with this kind of a system, we do get sort of a drizzle that we'll be seeing. If you're looking for some clearing, well, as we get Sunday night towards Monday, we may get again a bit of a break, but then more clouds come back in once again. So temperatures overnight tonight, these are certainly above seasonal, so we're seeing some milder readings. The wind's not very strong either, so we're not dealing with as much of a wind chill. And then for tomorrow afternoon, just a couple of degrees above freezing, kind of a bit of a mix in terms of what we'll see, likely more wet flurries towards Sarnia and that wind coming out of the southwest at about 20 kilometers an hour, but then it'll even be easing as we go into the afternoon hours. Sunday up to 4 degrees. Look at these overnight lows, freezing or above until Monday night. Better chance of some sun into Tuesday. And then Wednesday, yes, 6 degrees, and we're getting close to Christmas, but Wednesday night, the cold air comes in. It'll be here for the end of next week.
Interesting. Might be a little magic there for Christmas Day, maybe.
There is a potential for a little system coming in here, too, and with the cold air, I don't think it's going to be a dumping of white snow, but we might get some flurries or a little bit of light stuff.
Fingers crossed. Thanks for this, Colette.
You're welcome.
And coming up, a virtual gathering bringing together multiple faiths. Members of a remote Northern Ontario First Nation are returning home today to clean tap water for the first time in a quarter of a century. People from Neshkondaga spent the past 2 months living in hotel rooms in Thunder Bay because of a water emergency on the reserve. Test results now show its water is starting to meet national standards, but the community still cannot lift a boil water advisory until upgrades to the treatment plant are complete and certified operators are in place. U.S. Vice President Mike Pence and the Second Lady of the United States received the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine this morning.
Karen and I wanted to step forward and take this vaccine to assure the American people that while we cut red tape, we cut no corners. The American people can be confident. We have one, and perhaps within hours, two, safe and effective coronavirus vaccines for you and for your family.
I got those shots live on TV. You're watching that there. Pence says in an effort to promote the safety of the vaccine, they did this and give Americans confidence in its effectiveness. It comes as United States infections continue to soar. Almost 240,000 new infections yesterday. A Toronto church, a synagogue, and a mosque, all three came together last night for a virtual interfaith concert honoring frontline workers.
Oh, I know that life was meant to be hard. And that's how I learned to appreciate my God.
What a voice, a display of hope, togetherness for this holiday season. It featured a guest appearance by Stephen Page, formerly of the Bare Naked Ladies, who performed an original Hanukkah song. That's it for CBC Windsor News. Don't forget, for news anytime, you can go to our website, cbc.ca/Windsor. Thanks for watching. Have a good weekend.